back for Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Obviously quickly finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
Only by Fulton Teller. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day. And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby.
Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of the big one, the Boxing Day clash at Bramall Lane. It's Burnley against Sheffield United. Should I say Sheffield United against Burnley, but you know what I mean. At Bramall Lane, the big one. It's top, it's against third. 4 points is your gap at the minute. Can we get it back to 1 point or will it be extended to 7? I think 7 at this stage of the season with how good Sheffield United have been might be a little bit too much for Burnley, but fingers crossed we don't have to find that out. And even if we do have to find that out, we can come back from it. But as usual on the pre-game show, I am joined by a fan of the opposition, and I'm pleased to welcome back Jimmy from the Blades Ramble. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Good, thank you. I just want to start as well, by the way, by saying the other day I was talking to my dad, and he loves it when I give him a shout out on these shows. He'll text me saying, I've just heard my name on pre-game show. And he said to me, he went, who are you getting on for Sheffield United show? Are you doing one? It's near Christmas, isn't it? Who are you getting on? And I went, I'm going to get on. Before I started saying, are you going to get on that Jimmy from Blades Ramble? He's good, I like him. Another guy messaged me on Facebook today and say, who are you doing for pre-game show? Is it Jimmy? So I don't know why you've got so many fans in Burnley, mate. But
wow, love that.
Yeah.
Shout out to them then as well. What's your dad called?
He's also called Joe. I'm a junior.
Oh, right. Joe Senior. Shout out
Yeah.
Joe Senior. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Love that.
Yeah, he'll love that. He will love that. He might even set it as his ringtone. But anyway, mate, obviously, you've got some good news today over at Sheffield United. We'll get into that in a little bit. Obviously, we'll start off just by talking about your season so far. I think you're going to say it's gone pretty well so far.
Incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I know you kindly did a bit of a preview for us, so I've already got your Burnley perspective from our side of things in terms of, so I know your take on a little bit of it, but from what you were saying, and I agree, we've been through a bit of a similar pattern in terms of losing a lot of players in the summer, not really knowing then what we're going to be bringing in, because obviously we had our manager in place, but we knew we didn't have much of a budget. You didn't even have a manager, so you didn't know which direction you were going in terms of players that were incoming or anything like that. So it's been a huge turnover for both clubs in terms of players, and I think when you look at it like that, we should both be really pleased with where we are in table and the progress that we've made. I know that Scott Parker were a little bit underwhelming for some fans, but I think the proof is in the results that you've been getting, and might not be the best football you've ever seen, particularly being spoiled by Vinny Company, but he's certainly getting you the results. From a Sheffield United perspective, we've changed everything. We've changed the style of play. We've changed the age has come down by about 6 years, the average age. Absolutely ludicrous. Some of the deals we've been able to get over the line of at summer. We saw Will Asula to Newcastle. Never scored a senior goal. We sold him for 10 million, rising to 15 to Newcastle. Absolutely ludicrous. He's worth 5 million quid tops. And that's no offence to the lad, because he's a good prospect. And I'd have wanted us to keep him, all being well, but silly money. We got his money back for Upton Trusty. We got his money back for Benny Traore. there's some deals that have been absolutely incredible. And then you look at the players we've brought in. Michael Cooper from Plymouth, £2 million. I mean, we can have an argument over who's best keeper in league, but I'm saying it's Michael Cooper. You can stick to Traff, and I understand your argument as well.
No, I'm joking. I do like Cooper, to be fair. I do like Cooper.
Yeah, but you're the only one anywhere near us, or we're the only ones anywhere near you, to be fair, in terms of defensive record this season. So we are it's got 0-0 written all over it on it this game, to be fair. But other signings, Harrison Burrows, League One Player of the Year, young, could be our he's 22-year-old, he could be our left back for the next 10 years. You know, making these sort of signings that are just really solid, and we've brought in so much more money than we've spent. Callum O'Hare for no transfer fee. Yet it was an expensive deal, but it's no transfer fee for a player of that caliber in Championship. I know Burnley wanted him. I know Leeds wanted him. So it's good to get those players off the line. We were -2. It feels to me, and you know your club, so you'll feel the same with Burnley when you get a little bit of a vibe in and around the club. But it feels to me like it's a similar wave to what we were riding in that 18-19 season, with the players all coming together, the right camaraderie. We're greater than the sum of our parts at the minute. Yes, we've got some really good quality players in the team, and you need that. We've been relying on bits of individual brilliance from players like Hamer. Kiefer Moore turned up at weekend, got 2 goals, really well taken as well, and that's done us really well. But as a team, that is where we are best at the minute. And I think the camaraderie around the group, the ambition of the group, I feel like we've got something special brewing. And that doesn't mean necessarily we're definitely going to turn you over, or even we're definitely going to go up automatically, but it's a really, really good place to be at the minute. And the news today, like you touched on briefly, which we can get to, of the takeover of Sheffield United, we don't know where it's going to go, in all honesty. It's always a risk, isn't it? It's like a new manager coming in for some people. But it's the optimism that comes with it, and the potential that comes with it. Obviously, they're going to want to get to the Premier League to get anything back on their investment. So you've got to hope that, you know, they're going to put the money in, and it's January just around the corner. We've got a couple of targets in mind. You know, we need to get stronger if we're going to maintain this promotion push. You're not going to let up anytime soon. Sunderland don't seem to be going away. Leeds are always strong, even though I think, like you said in your preview, they can bottle it when they're under enough pressure, but they look good this season so far. So, yeah, all is looking well at the moment, pal, but we're certainly not taking anything for granted in terms of where we are, because we're not even. We're just about halfway through, aren't we?
Yeah, well, this game will be the halfway point, won't it?
Halfway mark, yeah.
We'll have both played each other once, not each other, every team once at this point. I'm glad you mentioned recruitment, because I did want to ask you about that. Obviously, you've gone into individuals now, so I don't need to ask you about them because you've done that already. But tell me why you think Sheffield United got the recruitment spot on this year. Because I look back at some of the previous windows and it's been okay. It's not been great. You know, when you went up to the Premier League, I know you had some money issues. I'm not sure you'll be able to touch on that better than me. But you sold a lot of your better players. As soon as you got into the Premier League, you just looked at the window and you think, that's a bad window from Sheffield United. But I think this year, despite everything going on, you touched on it as well. You had 2 points deducted as well. Let's not forget. You should be 6 points clear instead of 4 of us. But you still managed to recruit well.
You need to be in it.
You still managed to recruit well. Why did you get it all spot on, do you think?
I think Wilder recognised that we were not stale. It's an easy sort of cop-out thing to say stale, but we've been doing the same thing for such a long time, and I think you just need to freshen it up sometimes. We'd gone through waves where we brought in like clusters of players who've been really successful. We had a time where we brought in George Baldock, Ender Stevens, John Egan, Ollie Norwood, them sort of players, and they proved to be really successful as a recruitment crop, if you like. And then whether we didn't judge the Premier League correctly or anything like that, maybe there's argument for that in terms of getting the right standard of player in. Maybe that had something to do with it, but we didn't quite find our rhythm again after that. That's it. That recruitment, that was the last real good period of recruitment for the club. We needed to get it right. Chris Wilder had been saying, we're obvious we were going down last season. Obviously, before anybody else, we were really, really poor. And he'd been saying from 10 games out, 10 games to go to end of season, we need a complete overhaul of this squad. It needs to be completely different. I've got players here that don't want to play for shirt, and it won't be like this next season. I can guarantee it. That he kept saying it. He kept saying it. And as daft as it sounded, he was excited to rebuild the squad. And he'd made some crucial changes, really, because he's good pals with our old head of recruitment, Paul Mitchell, and he were offered a different role, but he chose not to accept it, didn't Paul Mitchell? So Wilder's cut ties with one of his best mates, so he's still very pally with it. We're an amicable split, but he's brought in a new scouting system, new scouting team, and freshened everything up, really. So we've gone back to square one a little bit, I think. Looked at who we need for what positions. We do a lot of character profiling now. We speak to people in the game and what's he like, because we wanted to get the group right, the spirit in the camp right. So it's been a carefully, well put together recruitment plan. It's not been like, oh, well, he's free. Tyrese Campbell's on a free. We need another striker, so bring him in. No, let's get him in. Chris Wilder has a chat with him. Why? What can you bring to our team? This is what we can do for you. What are you looking to get out of this move? You might not always be first choice. You might be pushing. What's your attitude going to be like if you're on bench every week? All these sort of little things that most managers will cover, but he's sort of pulled curtain back and said, look, this is what we've done to try and get recruitment right. And it's been, I can't remember a better recruitment certainly since that initial return to the Championship from League One. I can't remember a better round of recruitment than what we've got here. Michael Cooper has got to be the signing of this. And you can argue between him and Trafford. I would always argue Cooper. I'd expect Burnley fans to argue Trafford. But you paid 19 million for yours, and we paid 2 million for ours. And that's who you're comparing. And that's not a dig at Burnley, by the way, but that just shows how good a business we did with Michael Cooper. If you compare them both, you might even nudge Traff in front, but you've got to say Cooper's a £15 million goalkeeper then, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? So it's incredible business, mate. And I don't know how we've done some of these deals, to be honest.
To be fair about Cooper, when it was looking like we were going to be selling both Muric and Trafford in the summer, or even just when it was looking like we might just be selling Trafford and keeping Muric, I remember saying I'd get Michael Cooper from Plymouth. He's a brilliant goalkeeper. So I think it was easy to recognise he was a good goalkeeper, but you managed to get it done. That's the difference. And obviously, like you said, you got it done for a very, very small fee for how good he is. You've touched on Wilder then as well. Let's get into Wilder. How is, I presume at the minute, it's a silly question to be fair, because you're top of the league, sitting pretty, looking like you might go up. But I remember at the time when it was reappointed, there was a lot of, yes, I do want Wilder. No, I don't want Wilder. It's like going back to an ex. I'll be honest, you were quite saying, yes, I like Wilder. Let's get him. So to be fair, you were on the right side, or what looks like the right side of the fence now. But I presume the general feeling of the fan base at the minute is positivity about Wilder.
It's taken a while. It's taken a while because I think those that excuse me, I think those that questioned him coming back, it wasn't necessarily about his ability. It was because he'd left us when we needed, he was our leader, and he left us at a really difficult time for the club. So a lot of people felt, I think, betrayed a little bit. He, as a man, looked broken, completely broken. And we'd started a huge downturn with him in charge. So it's not like he left us and then we dropped off a cliff.
Yeah.
It were COVID. He were in charge. We dipped massively, and he didn't have any answers at that point. And he looked like a broken man. He looked completely burnt out. And it were widely known that he wanted out. Well, a lot of fans didn't agree with that. It broke a lot of people in terms of the Sheffield United community, because he was an absolute legend and still is. But so I don't think it was ever a case of he's not good enough to manage the club. Some were sceptical on what he'd done since he'd left us, because he didn't have the best of times at Middlesbrough and Watford. I could break those down for you, but I won't go into it, because I think there's reasons for both in terms of his patchy form, if you like. But I would always back him. I always thought he was a brilliant operator, and I sometimes think clubs just fit managers, as well. I think there's arguments to say that, at Bournemouth, Eddie Howe and Chris Wilder at Sheffield United, and there's other, you might say Sean Dyche at Burnley. So he is us. He's one of us. He understands what it means to be a blade. He's exactly what we needed at the time when we were a broken club under Paul Eckingbottom, and that's not Ecky's fault. It was just a really difficult task. So now you're starting to hear it again. It's taken a long time, but you're starting to hear one of our own chants, and Chrissy Wilder and Alan Nill. And how can you not when we top at league? But he's done it the right way as well. He's not come back and said, look, you need to get behind me. It's always been about the team. It's always been about what he can do for our football club, what he can do to get us back on track. And we need the supporters, blah, blah, blah. But it's never been about him. It's always been about the team. And that's, it's night and day, really. So yeah, I think 95% of the fans are fully back on board. Obviously, the form and league position helps, but it's great to see him repairing those old relationships, because what a ride. And it looks like we could be going on a similar journey again. And even if we don't get promoted, it's been so enjoyable this first half of the season. Yeah. We'd have to drop off a cliff for anybody to sort of sour on him at this stage, I think. So it's been great, mate. It's been great.
Yeah, fair enough. Sticking with Wilder, then talk to me about the style of play, because you said already it's a completely different style of play. Not from when Wilder was there last time, but you've from last season. But you've touched on it, like I said already. You're very similar to us in a sense that you don't concede a lot and you don't score a lot. Your defensive record isn't that much worse than ours. You've only conceded 11 times this season. We've only conceded nine. That was 7 only 2 games ago, but obviously we've conceded a couple in the last 2 games. The only club that's even remotely close to any of us after that is Leeds, who are on 15. The difference between us both and Leeds is they've scored 41 goals. We've only scored 28. You've scored 32. So I think it's fair to say from the outside looking in, Sheffield United playing a similar style to Burnley in the sense that it's quite not defensive, but cautious in approach. Is that fair to say?
We're not defensive, but with a very strong defence. I think where we are similar is we're quite possession heavy, and that we're not always the quickest in sort of the transition. So
that infuriates me on our side, to be fair.
I know. So what we tend to find is, unless we score early, it's not going to be a high scoring game. So if we score early, it's good because teams come on to us. You'll find the same thing. And then you can play a little bit and you tend to have a bit more success. Otherwise, your goals tend to come second half or later into the game, once you've moved them around a lot, once they've sort of tired themselves out a little bit or brought the subs on and sort of are fading into the game a bit, and you've worn them down. So that tends to be the frustrations. I'd love us to move the ball a little bit quicker. We've got the players to unlock teams. You have as well. So we are similar in a lot of ways. I think we both play 4-2-3-1. So it's an interesting matchup, this, because like I said, everything is pointing towards a 0-0 defense against defense, isn't it? But
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how the game actually pans out, because when you're two similar teams, one of us is going to top the possession stats. One of us is going to have likely more shots than other, all this sort of thing. And us at home, I'd like to think it were us, but we'll have to wait and see how it pans out, mate. Because if we start moving you around a little bit and you're not used to not having, I mean, you played against Leeds in a low block, didn't you? And you shut up shop completely and did them.
I'm making notes here. I'm going to come back to that. And I'm saying, like, yes, we might just say to you, you can have the ball. Like, we've sat here frustrated as Burnley fans saying, I hate it when teams come to the turf and do this. But we went to Ellen Road and do this. And I'm thinking, Scott Parker's not a one-trick pony like Company was. So I'm thinking he might go there with a different plan and think, let Sheffield United have the ball and hit him on the counter-attack and hopefully do a similar job than what we did to Leeds.
Well, I hope he does. I hope he does, because I have every faith in our defence, really. I think Leeds, if they've one chink in their armour, and I know the defensive record isn't bad at all, and it's only just worse than ours, they're third in league for it or whatever. But I think while they might have an edge in attack, I think we both have the edge defensively. And I'm not convinced by Meslier at all, but I'd like to think if Koleosho's bearing down on Michael Cooper, I'm backing Cooper as much as, it's not nailed on that Koleosho bags against Sheffield United. It was when we were storming down on Meslier. You didn't have many chances, did you? And it's a case of
just that one, really.
Yeah, exactly. So I would take that all day long. I'd take that all day long. You sitting in and saying break us down, because I think eventually we could. The chances are we're more likely to score in a game like that than you are, I think. So I'm hoping that's the approach.
Yeah, I think if we do go down that route, I think Parker's trying to hang his hat on our defence and it being the best defence in the league statistically, hoping that we do come away with the 0-0 and the gap stays at 4 points. I touched on it already. Some big news over at Bramall Lane today in the fact that you have your takeover has been officially completed, which I was pretty annoyed with, if I'm honest with you. Not because I don't want Sheffield United to get it, just because you've got the boost just before the Christmas, the Boxing Day game. Sorry, I'm thinking, for God's sake, they've got a boost. I don't know how well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on the screen, but of course, it is on your screen. That's because I've got this new wide angle bloody screen, and it makes it all thin when I bring it in. But the headline is Sheffield United takeover completed by US-based COH Sports. The article starts with takeover of Sheffield United has been officially completed by American-based consortium COH Sports. The group is led by businessman Stephen Rosen and Helmer, I'm not going to try and pronounce that last name, who will join the Blazers board as co-chairman. Rusin is the founder and chairman of Resilience Capital Partners, while the other name chairs biotech company Guardant Health. So I did nip into your live a little bit earlier today, mate. Not for long, I'm going to be honest with you. There was you and another guy. The guy was waving an American flag, and you both looked very happy. So I presume you would be happy that this is over the line.
Didn't you hear us singing Star Spangled Banner? Did you get in for that bit?
No, you know what it was? He was waving the flag, and I seen you put your hand on your heart and start belting it out. I thought, nah, I'm off. Genuinely, that was what went through my head. But I'm not
I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame you. It weren't the best rendition in the world, I'll be honest. But yeah, I mean, the theme of my stream tonight was to be positive, because it's exciting, and if we can't get excited for a takeover, then what are we doing? Why are we even in the game? But when I'm putting my neutral hat on and I'm looking at it from a distance, you've got to be honest and say, approach with caution, because the reason Prince Abdullah's selling the club is because he can't push us on. Once we get to the Premier League, he can't fund us in terms of sustaining a promotion push a push to stay in the Premier League. You know, you have to chuck another 100 million quid at it and whatever else you need to do. He can't do it. He's admitted that he ain't got the personal funds. People automatically assume that this consortium has got the funds. Well, no, they're just buying a football club. So we don't know. We don't know how much. We know that a group of successful American-based businessmen. They're all investors, so they will likely, obviously, like everybody does, like your own.
Sounds very similar to what happened at Turf Moor.
Exactly. They're all wanting to get back to the Premier League. Of course they are. Like everybody else in Championship wants to get to the Premier League. So that don't make me think, oh, brilliant. Well, just because they want to get there, that means proof will be in the pudding, really. It's a case of what are they going to do in January? I don't think that is going to be the be all and end all, because I think we need 2, maybe 3 additions rather than like 4 or 5. But you're right. Like when Alan Pace came in to you, we were going to buy us at one stage, mortgages the club to buy him. And you think, well, I know it's thankfully, touch wood, it's gone all right for you. He made a great appointment in company, and you've progressed there, and it's the money you've made in the Premier League sort of makes up for, you know, what could have been a very, very dodgy time for the club. But we don't know. Obviously, you can't do that anymore. I think the ownership rules have changed around that, but we don't know what we're stepping into here. So tonight's stream, while I'm singing Star Spangled Banner and all this sort of stuff, it was to be positive and focus on where we could go under this new ownership, because it's great to be optimistic. And like you say, it will give us a bounce going into the Boxing Day game. But we've been here before. You'll think same as Burnley fans. I think everybody thinks it with their own club. We never do it the easy way. As Sheffield United fans, we think the same of our club. We can never just, brilliant. We've got 50 million quid to spend in Jan. Let's go and get him, and we'll walk the league. It don't work like that. It never has for us, never will, probably. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting. Big rumours linking us with Ben Brereton Diaz again. We've got space on that left-hand side. I know you're not a fan because he's a Blackburn boy.
He'll always be a bastard, mate. I don't care.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan, Pat. I know you're not. But he did well for us in Premier League last season. I worry about his fitness, but he slots into our team really nicely now because we can move Gus Hamer inside, where I think he's more effective.
Yeah,
so that's an upgrade straight away for us. And if it's going to be first team players like that coming in, we only need 2 or 3. We're laughing. So, yeah, exciting times ahead, mate. But obviously, approach with caution. I think that's got to be the way.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting times anyway. From an outside perspective looking in, it'll be interesting to see how you do get on and how the new owners do get on.
I was going to ask you, obviously, other than the new bounce for Boxing Day, which you could have done without, what's your thoughts as a rival, essentially, aiming for same thing? We're both vying for promotion this season. There are 2 spots, so if we can both elbow Leeds at it, we'll be happy.
We'll both take it.
Yeah, we will. But how are you feeling now with this news on top of stuff? I know you're chasing us already. Does it sort of, is it a bit of a kicker to you, or are you not bothered? You're just focusing on yourselves.
To be honest, I'm
like?
I'm not overly bothered because, like you
Okay.
said, approach with caution. I have no idea what these new owners are going to be like. I've not even looked into it other than that BBC article which I just put on screen. The only thing that does bother me is it happened before our game, because now I think the fans will have a bit of a boost. Bramall Lane will probably be an extra edge of atmosphere to what it normally would have had. Greasy chip butty will be that extra bit louder, and then the players will play that extra bit harder and stuff. Fingers crossed we can frustrate you and stuff like that. But yeah, we're just focusing on ourselves. I'm not too bothered if you start to pull away, as long as Leeds don't, or vice versa. If Leeds start to pull away and you don't, if you start falling. Obviously, I'd like to win the league. If somebody said, "Now, would you want to win the league?" Obviously, I'd say yes. I've experienced it twice before, though, so it's not the be all and end all. It's just get out of the league.
Just get up.
Do not end up in the playoffs, because I don't want to be in the playoffs. It's a lottery. We could even end up playing Sunderland over 2 legs, and they've already beat us once this season. They've got some brilliantly technically gifted players in the middle.
Horrible, innit?
Don't want to play Blackburn, obviously, in the playoffs. I take Watford from what I saw the other day at the Turf. I thought Tom Cleverley got that all wrong.
Would you take Leeds? Would you want to play Leeds in playoffs?
No,
tough out there.
Yeah, even though again we're beating them this season, but I think Farke will learn from that, and I do think Cleverley will learn from what we did to them the other day as well. So, having said that, from what I saw Watford the other day, they won't be in the playoffs.
Really?
But yeah,
no, we got a Vicarage Road beginning of Jan.
Well, so, yeah. They're a lot better at home, aren't they?
I know they are.
Miles better at home. So
yeah,
up the Hornets for that game.
So away, by the way.
Yeah, you are. You've not lost at home yet this season, have you?
No, mate. No, and it's 10. It's going to be 10 clean sheets in a row if we can keep you out as well.
Yeah, there's 4 teams in the Championship that haven't lost at home yet this season. Sheffield United, Watford, Sunderland, and do you know who the other one is?
Burnley.
Yeah, it is. Congrats. I thought you were going to be a bell then and say Blackburn or something.
No.
Why have I done this here now?
I know. I won't do that to you.
But anyway, moving on. That brings me on nicely. So what's your thoughts on Burnley so far this season? Because obviously we did meet up down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we went to the Football Content Awards, which I came away with an award. Thank you.
Congratulations, pal. Very well
deserved.
Well.
By the time I'd won it, I think you were in Chippy, weren't you? You and Mrs. Ramble. Yeah, you'd gone.
We'd gone, mate. Yeah. Well, you were strapping your new mate into the car, making sure she got home safely.
Yeah. Check that out on TikTok if you haven't already.
I have, mate. Very good. I'm way too old for that, though.
I said that on your preview, didn't I? I'm too old for it, mate. So you definitely are. But anyway, thoughts on Burnley. Thoughts on Burnley so far this season, mate?
I've been surprised at how efficient you've been. Is probably the best way to put it. I'm not a Scott Parker fan, and I were laughing when you appointed him, to be honest. I know that when it looked like our new consortium were going to get in a lot earlier than they did, Scott Parker were quite high up on the list. So I were a little bit, oh my goodness, not for me. Not a fan of his at all, but worked a dream for you. In terms of what you could have expected, I think we touched on it earlier. I'm not as familiar with the turnover at Burnley, but obviously you lost Big Sander, didn't you? Who we're very familiar with.
16, 17 players.
Yeah, exactly. So there were a lot of players went out the door. Spent some decent money, brought in some good players, but it's making them gel together. It's not easy to just throw a load of players together.
We've only just started to look decent. Like, yes, you have hit the nail on the head. We have been efficient, but we haven't really been playing that well. But against Watford, we did look really good.
Well, that's the thing, really, because I felt the same about us. I think we gelled really quickly as a group, but we've never really, and it sounds arrogant to say it, and I don't mean it in an arrogant way, but we've never really got out of second or third gear. And we've got into like third gear against Oxford for like 60 minutes, and we went 3-0 up really quickly. And then we just took foot off gas and rested some players and sort of coasted it out. We've not really had that killer instinct this season yet. Feels like we're always waiting to go up a gear. And like you say, if you've done it at Watford, then that's good for you guys. I hope we do it on Boxing Day. But I don't think we've seen the best out of Sheffield United yet. Is probably the best way to put it. And we sat top at league and 4 points clear of third, which is, so it's a great thing to say. But in terms of Burnley, I think efficient probably sums you up the best, because you're getting the results. Like you said, you've not quite been able to edge out the same results as us, in terms of getting over the line in every fixture, dropped a couple more points, but it don't make you any less impressive. I think a couple of extremes more than us, like you're slightly better defensively, and you're not quite as good in front of goal in terms of converting your chances. So we've got a little bit more of a balance there where, we've obviously conceded a couple more, but we've scored 3 or 4 more. So it's just if you can get somebody in January, maybe. I don't know whether Jay Rodriguez is still knocking about, whether he's still up to task or what, but I know he's still with you, but I don't know. Has he been injured? Is he just not getting in, or
no? Funnily enough, annoyingly, right? It's quite annoying. This nothing to do with Jay. It's Scott Parker's fault. I think Jay should be starting because Lyle Foster's injured and has been injured for quite a while. Some Burnley fans might argue. Lyle Foster. Well, some Burnley fans might argue that he's not that good. I like him. I just think he's too inconsistent, and he's shown patches, especially in the Premier League. But again, it was just like 2 or 3 games. Then he'd go missing for 5, 6 games. So there's a player in there. It's just whether we can get him out. But because he's injured, Scott Parker's been playing Zian Fleming more often than Jay in that 9, where Zian Fleming's obviously more of a 10, and that's frustrated Burnley fans. Yeah, that's frustrated Burnley fans because Burnley fans want to see a striker in the 9 and Zian in the 10. However, Josh Browner was fantastic the other day. So now you're struggling to see where Zian would fit in if Lyle's back again. Some fans.
So were Brownhill in the 10?
Browner was in the 10, yeah, and he was brilliant. It's probably his best performance this season.
I like Josh Brownhill. Can I just ask, just for scouting, if we go up and you don't, has he signed his new contract yet?
He's not. Neither's Connor Roberts. But I think he's got. I think he's got ambitions of going abroad. I'm not sure.
What's Josh?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud because I know Wolves are interested in the summer, but I think if there was genuine interest from Josh there, I think he probably would have gone. So I'm not sure. Maybe he's just running his contract down so he has more options.
He's a good player.
To be careful you have to be careful what you say with Josh Brownhill because you get it from both sides. You get Burnley fans who proper protect him, and you get Burnley fans who despise him. Weirdly enough, which I find
is that because he's not committing?
No, it's just some Burnley fans just think he's not good enough, which I just think is bizarre. Like,
wow.
Having said that, I will caveat that by saying I do sometimes, and I'll tell you something off air in a second. But I have said sometimes recently that I struggle to see where he sometimes fits into our midfield. Not because I don't think he's good enough, just because of the things that I've told you about. We play 4-2-3-1 like you, and I think Josh's best position is in that 10. But I was thinking going forward, it will be Foster in the 9, Fleming in the 10, with Loren and Cullen in the DM roles. I'm thinking I don't see where Josh kind of fits into that kind of midfield because Josh would also work as a box to box. I think
he's an 8.
But there's no real like box to box player there. You could have him out wide coming in and all that sort of stuff. But like as I've just said, because he was so good against Watford, I think even when Lau's back now, I think if Lau goes in the 9, keep Josh in the 10.
It's a bit like us with Gusema, that, to be honest. He's doing a great job wherever you put him, but I think he's more of an 8, and we play like with 2 6s. So he doesn't really fit in that 8. 10's probably a touch too high for him, but I think he could do a great job as a 10. He's doing a good job as a left winger, and he's certainly not a left winger, but he's that good a player. He makes it work. So it's right, square pegs round holes sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly the term I've been using with Zian Fleming, which I would like to see him in his natural role with an actual striker as a 9. But Scott Parker.
But then you're dropping one of your midfield boys, aren't you?
Exactly that. Like. And then it's a different headache. So it's hard work. What type of game are you expecting? I think we've kind of touched on this already, but just go into it in a bit more detail. I think we're both expecting a low scoring under 2.5 sort of game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cagey affair, to be honest. I think not much in both boxes, which doesn't sound great. And I think it'll be nervy. I'm not. If I think about the game itself as a spectacle, I'm not looking forward to it. I think the atmosphere will be great, and I'm hoping that will sort of lift our levels a little bit. And if it does, then we're only going to, progress from there. But I'm not expecting. It certainly won't be a high-scoring game. We're 2 best defenses in league, and that's we're both built on defense. Whether I think we're a defensive team or not, which I don't think we are, I just think we've got a very good defense.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just. We'll shut each other out, I think, and it's going to be a grind. We've both been grinding teams down, I think, to a certain degree. So I suppose it's who's going to have the edge on the day. As I said, I don't think it'd be much of a spectacle. But having said that, both sides have got players who can produce a moment of magic. So if it's individual quality that wins it, then you just have to hold your hands up, because that's what's been doing it for us some games this season as well. A touch of class from Gusema. It were Kiefer Moore pulling a brilliant volley out of nowhere against Cardiff other day. So Callum O'Hare can come up with something special, and you've got players like that on your side as well. So I think Hannibal's playing well every time I see him now. I know he's been on bench, hasn't he, recently, but starting the other day. Played
He's
well.
another one where he's struggled. We've got that many good midfielders. He's struggled to fit into that midfield, even though he's good enough. And again, I'll caveat that by saying a similar thing with Brownhill. I do think Brownhill is good enough. I just sometimes struggle to see where his quality can fit into a midfield of that style. It's the same with Hannibal. However, I'm not sure. I was just thinking then when you were saying Gus Hamer's been playing out left and then he's been coming inside sort of thing and playing well there. I'm not sure if Scott Parker's watched you and thought, well, let's try that with Hannibal, because Hannibal was out on the left against Watford and it was superb. It's his best ever game in a Burnley shirt, and I'm hoping that he plays on the left against you guys.
Yeah, maybe so. It's worked for us so far. It's taken a while. It's taken a little while for it to click for him because he hasn't always been that effective, but he'll cut inside and it allows Harrison Burrows to overlap. And he's an attacking left back, he's Harrison Burrows. So it works for us down that left-hand side, and they've started to find a little bit of rhythm. So hopefully, like we both said, it hasn't really clicked for us yet, I don't think, either side, even though we've both been getting the right results. Hopefully we both go up a level and see how it goes in the second half of the season with us playing a bit more to our potential, maybe.
Yeah, and both of us maybe strengthening as well a little bit. Hopefully you not too much. But let's get into predictions then, please, mate. What's your score prediction for this game?
I'm going 1-0 Blades. I mean, I would not be surprised at all with a 0-0 like we've talked about, but you can't predict a 0-0, can you? Even though you did for me. It's I think it's a 1-0 either way, but I'm going 1-0 Blades.
The last two times that Burnley and Sheffield United have met, I'm not going to mention the scores. I know you already know the scores in your head.
Just the last two? Why just the last two? Why not the last two times at Bramall Lane?
I'm bringing it up.
Bramall Lane?
All right. In fact, the last two at Bramall Lane actually extends that point. The last two at Bramall, the last game was obviously 5 goals at Bramall Lane, and the game before that was 7 goals. I was mentioning the last two because it was 10 goals, but this one's obviously 12, so it makes the point even better. So
let's do
fair
that.
enough. You can have that bad memory and turn it into a good one for yourself.
That one was. I didn't recognise that side. To be fair,
I don't think it's good. The point is, I don't think it's going to be like that. I do agree. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be low scoring. You said you can't predict a 0-0, but I'm going to do just that. I think it's going to be Sheffield United 0, Burnley 0, as you already know, because like you said, I've said it on your show. But I'll take that. If you said to me, now let's just cancel Boxing Day, you can have a 0-0, you can chill out at home instead of travelling over the Pennines, I'll say, right, happy days. Let's keep the gap at 4 points, and then hopefully Leeds will bottom or we'll sign in the window and progress. So I will take that, but it'll be tough.
And if we were going to turf, I'd be exactly the same. But I think Wales being home team, we want to be not expecting, but we've got to be going for 3 points. I think if we're going to Burnley on Boxing Day, I'm wanting a point all day long as well. So it's I understand it from both sides, and 4 points ain't bad, is it? Particularly if Leeds drop points as well. So we'll see where we are at the end of the day. But after, we're still going to play you again after this. So I can't even wish you luck for after this game, can I? So it's one of them, really.
Yeah, just you mentioned there, when you said let's hope Leeds drop points, they're away at Stoke, so the chances of them dropping points are slim to none. However, their away form has been awful. They should have got beat by Preston, and they didn't.
I know.
But
I know.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Just before we wrap it up, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and all your Blades content?
Yes, mate. Yeah, the main place you'll find me is on YouTube. It's Blades Ramble, talking everything Sheffield United. We're an open platform, very similar to what Joe does here on Turfcast, and tries to give the fans a bit of a voice. As long as you're respectful and don't take it too far, then we like to hear all different kinds of opinion on the team and how we're doing and stuff. So, Blades Ramble, and I'm sure it won't be last time me and Joe are together this season for a bit of content. I might have something to put to you a little bit soon, anyway, mate. Just if we can get something together.
Is it? It's not another relegation rivals, is it? Promotion.
Well, it won't be relegation rivals, will it?
I know. Promotion rivals, get a Leeds fan on and a Sunderland fan. Maybe I've told everyone
I've got a
Leeds
Leeds
fan.
I've got a Leeds fan, so it's just whether we want to win. Are Sunderland going to keep the pace? Do we reckon with us?
Well, I do think they'll fade. If I'm honest with you, over the course of the season.
You've said for a while, aren't you? 3? It's top 3.
Yeah, but they keep proving me wrong. Like they keep drawing in. I'm thinking, right, that's it. They'll fail. They'll fall the way. Sorry, and then they dig out another way. I thought they got lucky a little bit against Norwich. To be fair, with the red card, I've not seen the red card. I just know Norwich got a man sent off. Whether they would have won the match without that, I'm not sure. But as long as we just keep it at the top 4, we don't invite any content creators on from 5th down. Please.
Absolutely, don't get that. Don't get that.
No chance. No chance. But Jimmy, obviously it's Christmas, so have a great Christmas. I hope your Christmas day is full of joy and you have a great time with your family and the kids and the wife. I hope Boxing Day is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, how long you had that one prepared? Brilliant. No, mate. Obviously, Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope you have a great day. Same to all your subscribers and your viewers on Turfcast. Have a fantastic time. If you celebrate, of course, and even if you don't, have a good day anyway. And then let's all hope Sheffield United bring the misery to the Burnley boys on Boxing Day, and then we'll all be friends again on 27th. But yeah, 7-point gap would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it would be a bit much, that, wouldn't it, at this stage of the season? But Jimmy, thank you for coming on the show. As always, it's a pleasure. Good luck for the rest of the season. But of course, after Saturday, what even day is it on Boxing Day? Is it Thursday? It is. It's Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah.
But after Thursday is my point.
Okay, mate. Okay, I'll take that.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. See you soon.